I know it just starts getting heavy when all of a sudden it cuts off.
I was
Shout out.
totally jamming out.
I know. And you know who's singing that, I believe.
Yeah, Lord
Yeah.
Starfox.
It's
I'm gonna have to
Star-
ask him the title of that one because he sent me some other ones and I was like, dude, these are so
I know.
good.
I know. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Anyway, shout out to Star Fox. He's awesome. And he did that music for us. I think he might have done it for him too. But anyway, we share our music. So actually, I share his music. Yeah,
Right.
so it's cool. It's AI stuff. So he redoes it, kind of regurgitates. He does like a garage band thing and then he puts it in the AI and then yeah, it's really cool. I love it. He's so talented.
Oh, I know. And his art is amazing.
I know.
Like, holy cow.
Yeah. So if
When
you
is
guys have not
it?
been on Midnight Lycanthropy on YouTube, you need to go. Hey, Mud Lover.
Especially if you're super interested in cryptids, like
Oh yeah.
he goes down, but it's the thing is he uses a scientific approach,
Right.
and he really debunks a lot, and it's just really incredible. So
Yeah.
I would check him out.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's very good. Tonight, Kenna's not going to be with us. She is hunting, so I'm hoping that she bags her elk, fills her freezer up for the winter. That would be a good thing. And yeah, so she was pretty excited. If you guys haven't watched, she does some gun range stuff, and we put it up on our YouTube page. Yeah. Okay, so tonight is our live medium show, and go ahead and ask questions anytime you want. But we thought tonight we'd talk a little bit on how to develop your own intuition and psychic abilities. Because I think a lot of people come to us as Pocatello Paranormal not knowing they have gifts. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you know, their house is haunted. Well, is it the house?
Or
or yeah. Or are you drawing it because you're a medium? And I think hey Mad Max, I think sometimes we don't know that it's our abilities that's drawing. Yeah, Celeste, I remember you talked a long time ago about like being a lantern in the middle of the dark night.
Right. Yeah. My family had the conversation of why do we always end up living in a haunted house? And I had to break that sad story to them that it's not the house, it's us. And the metaphor that I had used was being like a lighthouse in the middle of a storm and in the middle of night in the darkness. And we glow, we have a different energy, we have just when a spirit or an entity notices that we notice them, they're drawn. And I don't quite understand it because, for example, when I used to read with California psychics, I would often meet the person who wanted to connect with their living person before I met the living person. So somehow they knew me, they knew how to find me, they knew that I did that, and they got their person to, I don't know. It's just, sometimes you can't quite explain how things like that happen, but there is some sort of there's a connection. They definitely, the other side knows, who they can connect with or who can put them in touch with their person that's still living. And often they've been trying to get the person's attention. They'll come in a dream or a feeling or a smell or different things like that. And so sometimes the person just doesn't recognize that without someone going, yes, that's your mom.
Right. So you both were pretty young, very young, when you figured out you had your abilities. Doc and I talked about this the other night. I don't know if you guys watched the episode with Doc and I on Monday night. I posted it, I think, Monday night. You need to go back and watch it. It's fascinating. I didn't know some of his history. Yeah. Go back and watch it. I don't want to spill the beans because I was like shocked. I was shocked at what happened to him. So, and not a lot shocks me in this kind of setting anymore. So I'm like, what? I had no idea. Anyway, go back and watch it. It's really, really good. And that was under The Thin Line. So the playlist called The Thin Line. Go back and listen to what he has to say. But I, for me, I don't know that I ever recognized an ability. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was, I don't know if it was just so, because my mom was so, woohoo, spooky, that I don't know if it was just like taken for granted that it was there. I don't know. I was trying to think back on that the other night. Like, did I just one day go, oh my God, this is happening? I don't know that I did.
Well, for me, I didn't know I had gifts. I thought that it was just how everybody was. I was 12 years old before I realized, at least 12 years old, before I realized not everybody sees what I see or hears what I hear. And I just had this conversation with somebody that I'm willing to bet there were a lot of people lobotomized and institutionalized that weren't necessarily mentally ill, that they had gifts and abilities and they heard voices and it was not schizophrenia, and they saw things and it was not hallucination, but there wasn't a really definite way to define what, that some people hear things and it's not a mental imbalance. So it's an interesting thing. What made you realize, or did you just always kind of know, and one day it was like, oh, not everybody's like me?
Well, I always knew. My earliest memory of dealing with something that was not of this world, I was still on the bottle, but I could walk, so I was probably around.
Oh, I was thinking a different bottle.
Yeah.
Like,
probably need that one now.
The things you find out.
That contributes to hallucinations.
Yeah, it does. Well,
Okay.
and then, so I remember seeing this creature at the bottom of my parents' stairs, and it would just it was not nice. And it was always glaring at me and growling at me. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to take this crap off from you. I would get angry at it. And I literally chucked my bottle at it because I was like, not today, whatever, demon, whatever. I don't care. I was like, not today. But I was also raised by people, at least my mother, because it's really, really prevalent in my mom's side, where we always had really spiritual experiences, could see spirits, talk to them, everything. And then my mom always warned us, because we would say, hey, Mom, I would see this. And she'd be like, okay, yeah, we understand that. We'd have these experiences together sometimes. And then she would say the same thing. Don't tell anybody, because, 70s, 80s, right? Don't tell anybody, because then you're going to end up in the psych ward, or they'll think you're crazy. But, come tell me when you have these experiences. And so she taught me really early how to protect myself and how to differentiate between, different spirits and things like that. So in one way, I always knew, but I never really had that aha moment that not everybody was like that, if that makes sense. My only aha moment really throughout this whole thing has been able to really read into people's true potential, their true, their higher self. Does that make sense? So I can see your true potential, your higher self, which is an empathic type of ability. And then I look at that and be like, oh, that's really you. And so you're awesome. And then I have to reel back and then realize, oh, okay. Take what you actually do and what you say as face value instead of what I actually see. That's been really hard for me. And that I didn't think everybody, for a while there, I thought everyone did that, and that's probably why I have a couple of X's under the belt now. So that's a long tirade.
I think I've always been one who absolutely uses my gut feel. Like my radar will go off all over the place for certain things, certain people, places. And it's like, I need to leave. I don't need to be around this person. I don't need to be in this space. I can tell you that I think some of it that was that cop training
Yeah.
back in the day. Um, yeah, Trista, for sure. But so my girlfriends and I, there was like 6 or 7 of us, and we are all dressed up. It was the 80s, and we were going into Sacramento to go to the dance clubs, right? And there was like 5 or 6 dance clubs, and we would try to hit them all and just had a great time. We'd just be out all night long and then drive back up in the mountain and go home. And so, my parents had taught me a lot about know your surroundings, right?
Mhm.
And I remember we went to a gas station, little mini mart at the time. And they weren't big convenience stores, but you could go in and get a Coke, that kind of thing, small. And we pulled up and I felt uneasy. And so I looked around and it was summer. It was hot. It was really hot out. And I look at this guy and he's wearing an overcoat. And I stopped my girlfriend getting out of the car. I'm like, wait. And she's like, what? And I went, no, everybody, let's get out of here now. They're like, there's, come on. I'm like, no. I'm like, look at this dude. And they said, oh, come on. They were giving me a bunch of rash for it. And then I said, no, we're going down the road. There's a Chevron down the road. We're not going in this store. Well, they were robbed by that guy that night.
Ugh.
I told him, I said, look at him. He's got an overcoat on and it's 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. Like, be aware. But that was the cop training too. But still, before I even saw him, my radar was going off. I knew something was wrong. And I started looking around and I'm like, oh.
See, and how blessed were you to be raised that way, to listen to your intuition and have that cop training to overlay that. That is awesome.
Yeah. True. I mean, my mom would bring home police work and lay it out on the dining room table. And I'm looking at, bad stuff. But her point was, how would you not be this person? Like, don't put yourself in these positions.
Yep.
Don't put yourself. And later I did. And I can't believe I survived some stuff. We all do. You look back and go, oh my God, I can't believe, wow. But, but she was right. Like, she was always trying to instill that into me but yeah. So yeah, the gut intuition, before I even knew the guy was there, something didn't feel right.
Yep.
And it was just a normal Saturday night. It was like no big deal. We were just so we didn't know until the next day that place had been robbed. Because by then I'd finally convinced him, because I was like screaming at him, like, no, we have to leave now. And finally they're like, oh, all right. And so they left. We went down to the Chevron, got a soda, and went on our way. So we didn't know until the next day on the news that place had been robbed. And we would have been right in the middle of it. We would have gone in right either before or after him.
Yeah. Right in the middle of it.
There's so many, and I think about going to those dance clubs, because that's when roofies, was it roofies in the 80s? Yeah, like they would slip things into your drink, and and I was always really protective of the group. Like when we'd go out, I was super protective of the girls, and I was always watching everybody. I was like mother hen all the time, right? But I'm like, God, they were so big. I love them to death, but it's like, girls, like, come on. And they're like, we're just having a good time. I'm like, yeah, you're going to get roofied and then taken away, and I'll never see you again. Like, put your drinks right here on the table. One of us has to watch our drinks. They're like, just get up and dance. I'm like, no, somebody has to sit here and watch our drinks. They just never could get like the whole concept of like being safe. And I love these girls. I really do. But dang, I can't believe they grew up.
They survived. I'm surprised a lot of us 80, Gen X's and a little bit around there survived.
Yeah, as children, being unwatched and unsupervised.
Yeah, we were, right?
And
Total latchkeys.
You walked home, or you walked to a certain location every single day by yourself. Yeah.
Let me tell you another story about intuition, and this was my mom's. So there was a serial bad guy in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And if you look him up, you'll see what I'm talking about. He was a serial predator who murdered a lot of people, women. And one of my friends in this clique, right? Her parents had a cabin in Ben Lomond, which is right on the, so you have the mountain and then you come down the mountain into Santa Cruz. Okay, so on the top of the mountain is like Ben Lomond, there's all these little communities and it's beautiful up there, right? So they had a cabin there and we would go every once in a while and hang out at the cabin for a weekend. It was really fun. But we wanted to go hiking in this one state park. It's gorgeous there. It's like redwoods, lots of redwoods. And we go to drive in to park the car and my mom wouldn't put it in park. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, let's go. She goes, no. She goes, it's not right. I'm like, come on, let's go. Let's hike. She goes, no. And she never would put it in park. And instead, she turned around and we left. And I never could figure out what it was. He was hunting in that park that weekend. Yeah. Like the cop entered the intuition. She knew he was down there and there was all of this activity going on down there. And they knew that they had somebody, but they couldn't pin it down, couldn't find him. And when she drove in, she just went, yeah. And there was someone taken in that park that weekend. And we went back. I think we went down to Santa Cruz and stuff. She tried to not like freak us out because I think we're like 13 or something at the time. And so we went down to the boardwalk and had a good time. But she was like all over that. Have you guys ever had that happen?
Yeah,
A lot of
I've
different things like
definitely.
that.
Yeah.
Especially just have a bad feeling.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, maybe it's picking up on the energy of the person who's thinking bad thoughts or planning bad activities. But no, I had to laugh at Susie's story about her mom. And ever since she was little, my parents waited until they were on their deathbed and I was 37 to be like, oh yeah, your grandma would have prophetic dreams and she dreamt this event and she dreamt that event. And my mom, oh yeah, I saw my mom after she died. She came in the room and talked to me. And I saw your brother playing in the hall his whole life. But I didn't want to tell anyone because I thought they'd think I was crazy. Oh, well, good. So I've spent, 37 years wondering if I'm crazy. But thanks for sharing that with me now. And it's funny because that's two of my four sides of my family. And now on my third side, more and more of my cousins are coming out and saying, I just did a wedding down in Utah for one of my cousins and went into her office to visit for a minute when she was doing her payment for her cake and flowers and stuff. And noticed we have a lot in common. And we have a lot in common. It's that part of the family. That's my Havlicek side, which is Czechoslovakian, Bohemian, whatever. Well, we've learned now through all the genetics and DNA testing, Romanian Gypsy.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's funny how many of my family have been called to, like with me, the ministry, the pastoral kind of service-oriented people, working with people dying, working with, just the whole kind of, it's not necessarily paranormal, but it's not everyday stuff.
Definitely a calling, and I would put it there. I mean, you're called to stuff like that.
Oh yeah. And it was interesting. Just in that event, there were four of us who are ordained in the family, all females, and another one who wasn't able to come. She was sick. And it's like, that is so wild. And to not realize that it isn't necessarily just a religious calling, that there's the more depth than a particular religion.
So much more out there that we haven't been taught, huh?
Yeah.
We know as gut instinct that true.
Hold on, I need to pop off for a minute.
Somebody's talking.
Yeah.
So, and for the audience, be sure to type in your questions for a reading. You don't have to wait for any particular time. Go ahead and let us know what questions are on your mind.
Mhm. Please
Look
do.
at the cat.
I know. Cat's like, what is your
I love
problem?
it.
Like, what is he complaining about?
So yeah, I think so I posted a question the other day on our YouTube page. Are you doing, how did I say it? Or something like, are you living your dream or something like that? And I'd love to hear from people. It's a yes or no, or working on it. I think there's 3 choices. Go out there and answer that comment, because I know oh, he's really going. Let me mute.
Wonder if they have somebody at the door.
Oh, let me see if I can mute her real quick. There we go. Are you living your dream? And we talked a little bit a couple of weeks ago about manifestations and how to manifest stuff, right? And I think I know that I'm partially living my dream. I have the animals that I rescue and take care of, and more that are even on the farm. I'll, rescue them and get them to help, but my job, definitely not. And like, it's really, really hard to have that, like, this I have to do in order to do what I love.
Mhm.
I would rather do what I love, but it's hard to finance that. It's hard to finance that. And yeah, I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure that out. But manifestation is a huge part of that, I think. Using your intuition. You did your readings for the week, your energy readings. And I know, Susie, that you're funny, because I know that you're tapping into me a lot of times.
Oh, did you catch that? Where I was like,
Oh boy, I know you're
look
like,
at me,
just
I'm all
take the
creepy
time off,
eyes.
it's a blessing.
You specific people.
I'm
like,
watching
"Oh,
that because
well,
I was trying to tag him and get him all fixed last night, right? And I'm listening to the Virgo one going, oh damn, she tapped into me again.
It was so strong. It's not just you though, but
Yeah.
it was very, very you. And I was like, oh yeah, this is everything she's been worried about. Yep, calm down, calm down. It's gonna be okay.
I know.
Like
Well,
repetitive.
I know, isn't it funny, Trista? Trista said, Susie, I felt it in my soul, haha. It's true. So, Trista would like a reading, by the way.
Okay.
Anything, like to
Dear
hear
Celeste.
anything. But it's funny because, so I'm one of those horrible furloughed workers right now who's, the threats are coming constantly, about whether or not we're going to have jobs and this and that. And it's stressful to be in these positions because we didn't do anything wrong. And it's really stressful. And Susie tapped right into that. She's like, just breathe. I'm like, dang it. But
sorry.
no, you're good. You're good, because I knew as soon as you went, oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay, Celeste, you can probably add on to Trista's, but I definitely tapped into Trista as well during the my mini readings that I posted. So it is repeating again. I have the King of Pentacles, the High Priest, and the Wheel of Fortune. It says, it's time. You're going to be okay. Get moving. You can create. You got this, over and over and over. So it's just more reassurance from the universe that you're going to be okay. So set the fears aside and don't worry about the unknown, because remember, no matter what happens, the universe has your back. It puts the right people, the right situations in the right places at the right time. It literally has perfect timing. So it has your back. Just trust and go with the energy.
I have really good news for you. If you don't, while you're laying on your back after you've been pile drived by the universe and you're looking up at the stars, suddenly you have less fear, because that's what happens when we don't listen. And I'm talking as a Sister Leo who isn't listening right now. Yeah. That's funny. The kitty night. Kitty on camera night. But
This is
yeah,
my
the
Jupiter.
universe. This is what?
This is Jupiter.
Oh, so pretty.
Yeah, it's funny that some things we have 100% free will, and some things I don't know if you guys have ever seen the memes on Facebook, and it's this really ragged old lady who looks just worn and stressed, and it's like, this is my angel or my guide, and I'm not listening.
Right.
because yeah, it's like
Yeah.
when you keep getting those hints and you keep getting you need to go left. No, not right. Left.
Right.
No, you're going right. You need to go left.
And
Bam! Left!
the universe like will literally, so I have a friend that's she finally was like really listening and stuff, and she tapped into that energy, because I told her, I said, if you don't start listening to your intuition and your gut and what the universe wants you to do, it will literally cause you to shift physically. And that's what's happening to her now. Like everything is falling apart around her, and she's like, oh, I really have to do this, don't I? And I said, yes. You've been told for so long, and now you're not moving, and now you're being forced to move in that direction. Does that make sense? Like her job is falling apart, she's being called back home, she's having problems with the place she lives. So she's coming clear back from Missouri to Idaho, and it's all happening in just a couple weeks. And I'm like, well, you kind of sat on it, girl. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do get slapped upside the head quite a bit and we don't listen, huh? Well, at least me. Speaking from experience.
I always want signier signs. Can I get like a signier sign? And about that time, the brick hits me in the head, and it's like, oh, there we go. Got it.
Yeah. Lizette would like a reading on anything for October and any info from my spirit guides. Yeah. So go ahead.
I was just going to say with Lizette, I don't know if what I'm feeling is you've been trying to talk to your spirit guides or get information from them, but they are definitely trying to communicate with you. Sometimes where the complication gets is we don't mesh in how we want to communicate versus how they want to communicate, or the receiving end is a little more complicated for us. They're definitely listening to you. They're definitely trying to give you signs and guide you. So the whole brick thing may be something that you want to take note of, because it's much easier to make those choices before you get the signier sign. One of the other things that I'm feeling is that I don't know if you're sensing energy stronger than you had in the past, or someone else in your family is talking about feeling things or sensing things, but they're supposedly everybody's abilities are heightening. Everybody's ability to sense and feel or hear is becoming more strong. Don't doubt that. I don't know if you've been questioning, is this real? Did I really see this or hear this or feel this? Yeah. And the thing about it is, it's like a muscle. The more we acknowledge it, the more we use it, the stronger it gets. The stronger it gets, the easier it is to acknowledge it and use it, and the stronger it gets. So it kind of builds on itself. But when we get all full of self-doubt, which is really easy to do, it's not unusual to be like, oh, it's just my imagination, or I just really want this, so that's why I think it's happening. It is really happening. That's what I'm feeling.
Cool.
And I can add if you want. So they are really happy about you tapping in and talking to them. They're just like over the moon excited about that, because then they can give you more guidance. I'm really drawn to especially the Hermit card. She's like floating and she has like this light coming out of her chest. So I have a feeling like it's been when you've been like in your quiet and reflective times, and we not necessarily even like meditation, but let's say I see you at the sink doing dishes, just quietly reflecting, and then you can feel like a sensation within you that someone's there with you, or just kind of like you've asked a question and you get like almost like an excited feeling of for yes. And then also like your intuition has gotten so much better. But there's also, so when you've been sitting there doing things like the dishes and it's just kind of repetitive, mundane thing, and your mind goes elsewhere, when you hear that little voice, but it almost sounds like your own internal voice, like whisper and tell you certain things, that's them letting you know. When you're asking those questions and you're pondering on certain things, that's them letting you know what path you should take. And I keep hearing how proud of you they are. I mean, I just feel like my chest is like about to explode. It is so cool. So yeah, they're just over the moon, super proud.
So if people are feeling or sensing that they have an ability, how do they strengthen it? If that's what they want, how do they tap into that?
Okay, here comes my pin. Pop. Sometimes it's not about what we want.
Yep.
It's about what we are,
Mhm.
Yeah, but we can strengthen things.
Oh, we can definitely strengthen things, and that's the whole point, is that we're supposed to. But I have the tendency to be a little, I prefer the word determined. I've mentioned this before instead of stubborn. Other people will disagree with that. And so I want to do things my way. I want to do them on my time. I want to do them in my frame of reference. And sometimes the universe is like, no, you need to not do that. So to strengthen them, like I said, is to acknowledge when you feel something. So like, for example, with Lizette, if she's doing dishes and she feels something, just directly saying, I feel some energy around me. Is that you trying to get my attention? And by doing that, you're letting them, oh my goodness, you're letting them know that you're open, you're sensing, and then they'll continue to send more. So like I said, exercise that muscle, acknowledge it, say it out loud, think about it, take and start journaling. I'm terrible at journaling, but I hear for people that do it, it's really helpful. Again, determined. So you just have to find your way of being comfortable with it, but you are not going to be put in a position that isn't safe. You just need to step outside of the box sometimes. And I need to go and open a door and throw a dog out. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, I think you have to be careful. You have to realize that if you do kind of keep working on things and keep developing your abilities, that it's not always something that you can turn on and off.
No.
Yeah, I am fairly decent with turning some things off, but not all of them. And the premonition part of my mother's ability that came to hitting me front and center a few years ago, it's not something that I wanted, and I don't I try not to tap into that at all. And it's backed way off. Because I'm like, nope, 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 nope. I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not going to listen to it because it's not, they're never fun things. It's never, oh, the butterflies are going to migrate tomorrow. Go out and look at them. It's never the good stuff. And we have enough negative in the world everywhere that I don't want to tap into that.
Ask for the good stuff.
Oh, I have. It doesn't show me that.
Say, if I need to develop this ability and I need to have this ability, I want a balance. Say, I need a balance for darkness and light because this is too heavy. So you need to tell me the happy things. And I'm sorry, but I already picked up on something you were thinking. So I apologize, Colleen. But yes, it is the right time.
Yeah.
What you were thinking and what we talked about before, it is absolutely the right time. And I was getting like goosebumps. So you're going to be okay. Next off, don't be afraid as far as this wanting to tap into abilities. Fear is majorly repellent. The minute you start relaxing and going with the energy, it'll open up more for you. And yeah, because like if you're afraid, it'll back off. But just also remember, like Colleen, where she says, I have trouble turning, I can turn it on and off. You still have your free agency. You can still see something out of the corner of your eye and go, nope, I'm not dealing with that. That's
with that today.
Yeah, you still have your free agency. So if you can say, no, I don't want it, it will back off. So there is still free agency involved, but very, very true.
Yeah. 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 So if you're out there and you're thinking about developing abilities, like I know, I mean, there's not like classes on this, but there's got to be a method. There's got to be, I know I have 1,000 books downstairs on different things, topics, abilities, whatnot. I know that there's quite a lot of books. Are there any books out there that you guys recommend?
Not me myself, but go ahead.
I am not a big reader of books. I pick and choose. I do them more like a cookbook where you look up a particular thing in there to get information rather than reading page by page by page. Right. But with that being said, most of my information and most of everybody's information, we've already got it. It isn't learning it, it's remembering it. And it's funny, the little things, sometimes they call them triggers, and that tends to be associated with negativity. And then they're having glimmers, which is supposed to be associated with happier things. But we can open up and draw on past life, past experience, the general energy of the universe to draw in knowledge. The biggest hurdle for most people is quieting your mind enough to hear it or to see it or to receive that message. We unfortunately live in a world where multitasking is not an exception. It is a rule, especially females. We're just prone to be able to pick up the dirty clothes, start a load of wash, be doing the dishes, dust the furniture, clean the bathroom, write the grocery list, all simultaneously. And so to quiet our minds down to just focusing on one thing is a bit more challenging, but it's not impossible. It's just, again, one of those practice makes perfect, and there really is no such thing as perfect. So practice makes ability. Even if it's just right when you first wake up or right when you're getting ready to go to sleep, that you work on quieting your mind, because sometimes it's easier to get distracted when it's daylight and the dog's barking because someone said they would be here at 6:30 and showed up late and knocked at the door, all of those other things that
I told you there was someone there. I was like,
yeah, someone that distracts our minds during the day. But a lot of times it's funny. I laugh at myself when I do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot remember the name of the place. What is the name of the place? And it'll hit me. Oh yeah, That's it. So it's dipping into, because supposedly everything we know, whether it's this lifetime or for those of you who believe in reincarnation because it's real, or a previous or a future, time is not linear. Time is either more like the infinity or like a circle, where we can be forward, backward from here. You can tap into that knowledge. If we're smart enough, we can learn and not have to repeat mistakes. And it is an intelligence. Sometimes it's that determination that I have, or, different people at different places in your life, in this life, we have different challenges and stuff. And when we're in certain places, sometimes things come easier, or sometimes they're more challenging, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. I think probably a lot of our audience has abilities, and that's why they're drawn to these types of channels, right? Because it's about discovery. And maybe you hear somebody that has something going on that's similar to what you experience, so you want to hear more about it. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how many people that I've known throughout my life who swore they never had a paranormal experience, they never had an ability, they never had this, never had that. And then when it happens to them, it really shakes them up because they don't know how to handle that. They don't know how to handle the almost like trauma of having something like that all of a sudden front and center, because they didn't grow up with it and they didn't have anybody that nurtured them. What's that?
I said we've been conditioned, right? Not to trust our instincts, our intuition, not to believe that there could be something there, that's intangible. Like, it's really interesting. And so we deny, and we don't want to be looked at as like the weirdo or the freak, or
Well, and like with the paranormal stuff, how many times have we went to do investigations and people are like, I just want to know I'm not crazy. I just want to know that there's, and it's like, it does make you feel that way. And especially like what you were describing, you've never had anything happen in your life and suddenly you do. And the reality of that physical situation, interaction, whatever, to something that really isn't a physical thing. It's the polar opposite of physical, but it will usually either scare someone or freak them out, which is a physical thing. They're having a response to something that you can't like put in a bag, kind of a thing.
Yeah. I go back to one of the members on our team every once in a while, and I bring him up, Phil. Right? He was the skeptic. I think a lot of him still is. Like, he's still skeptical about a lot of stuff, and I like that. That's fine. Until the one night that he got scratched through like his jacket and his sweatshirt and his shirt and everything else. Like, he was feeling a burning on his stomach. Was the stomach or his back? I think it was his stomach.
I think it was his stomach.
Yeah. And he came running into the house. He's like, look. He goes, like, I'm burning. I got scratched. He was so excited.
Yeah, it was like he won the lottery. Look.
Something happened to me. That's pretty funny. So although he's probably still on the skeptic side, he had that one experience and it kind of opened him up a little bit more. Yeah. So I think that's pretty
love the skeptics, especially when they hang out with us, because they don't sit in skepticism for too long.
No. Sherry, I have a random question. When you think you see something out of the corner of your eye, and when you turn your head to look at it, sorry, there's nothing there. I think it's a spirit or entity, but not sure what to call it. Your thoughts? Yeah, I believe so too.
Yes, definitely.
Yep. Those movements that you get, that's someone who's there. Huh?
It's out of your peripheral.
Yeah.
You don't normally, sometimes you can see them straight on. And it's funny because I don't see, like I'm looking at you guys often. I do see, like,
Yeah.
is that a real person? Because sometimes they're not see-through. Sometimes they're not shadow or
Mhm.
gray. Sometimes they look like a person. And especially when they don't look like a typical person, it gets a little weird. It was 3 in the afternoon, bright sunny day, walking down my hallway, and my son's bedroom was to the left, my daughter's was right after it, and mine was across from her. And I'm strolling down the hall, and I went and did something in my room, and I came back, and as I'm walking back down, get past my daughter's room, my son's room, there was, for lack of a better description, Yoda in a cloak.
Mhm.
I could not necessarily see the face. I would say 3 to 4 feet tall. The hood came down so that you couldn't really see a face, but a long brownish colored cloak walked through the wall from my living room into my son's room, through his room, through the closet into my daughter's room at 3 in the afternoon. And it was not an up here. I saw it, like I saw their bed. And it made me really angry. I felt very violated. I like started screaming and yelling, "Get out." I one of my favorite words begins with F, and it is not flowers. And I am like, "Get out of my house. What are you doing? You do not have permission to be in this house. Do not go in my." I mean, I was livid.
Mhm.
And everybody's like, "You were like yelling at a ghost." And I'm like, "I'm not sure it was a ghost."
Not ghost. Not
Yeah,
that one.
That's interesting.
and it was I was ready to go in fighting.
Mhm.
And everybody's like, if you'd have tried to hit it, there probably wasn't anything to hit. And it's like, maybe not, but if I could see it, then it could see me.
Exactly.
And if I hit it, it would know it had been hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's strange how things like that happen.
I locked eyes with something very similar. No cloak though, but a golem type creature out on my parents' property when I was out weeding one evening, and I was just weeding along, and then I looked up and it was crouched down, just staring at me. We locked, and I was like, don't even think about it, and then gone. So yeah, that one's not a spirit.
So I have something that has stuck with me all of my life. I think I was 3 or 4 when this happened. And my brother, he's 5 years older. He had a friend over, and they were sleeping in sleeping bags on the living room floor. And I was with my mom. My dad was out flying doing a search and rescue mission, so he was gone. And the way that my parents' bed was positioned, I could see, because her door was open, I could see down the hallway and out the front window. Okay. So I'm laying there and she's already asleep, and I could hear the boys. I could hear my brother and his buddy um, doing whatever they do, giggling and talking and whatnot. And I, this enormous, this sounds so stupid, this enormous red eye came up in front of the picture window, their living room window. And the boys saw it because they came screaming in. And I was just transfixed. I was just laying there staring at this thing, and it was blinking, but it was huge, like it filled up the whole window,
Oh, wow.
like this huge eyeball. And I remember the boys coming in. They woke my mom up. They're screaming. I was frozen. I was frozen. And I remember her. I can't remember if she saw it or she immediately put protection out, like just boom. And I looked again, like I could not look. You know what I mean? It was one of those, I was just frozen. I was little and I was just frozen at this thing. And I remember looking out the window and it was gone as soon as she did that. As soon as she came to, and the boys are screaming and all this stuff's going on. And at first, being a cop, we didn't live in the best area at that time. And people would shoot at the house because my parents were both in law enforcement. So we had to patch like the bullet holes on the side of the house in order to sell it to move. And I think her first mind went to, there's somebody out there. But the reaction, it was like not, she immediately figured out it wasn't a person, and she put something up. And I still to this day don't know what that was. And I think about it every once in a while, it comes creeping back, that big red eye blinking in the window. And it was like 4 feet high. It was the strangest thing. Nobody ever talked about it. Like nobody ever said a word about it after that. And then I'm like, did it happen? But I remember my brother and his buddies screaming into the room. I remember it all. So what in the world? Like, what could that have been? Could have mass hallucination? I
No.
can't figure that one
There was
out.
there was something, I don't know what you would call it. I wouldn't, whoever said golem, that would be a good way. It was some sort of except what was the bear looking guy on Star Wars? It reminded me more of like the bear guy on mine.
Wookie? The
It could be. Yeah, the
yeah,
little, he looked like a bear, but he walked
yeah,
on two legs and
he was
stuff.
bipedal, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I couldn't see the face. All I could see was the side, and I wasn't
Chewbacca. Thank you.
something like that. Yeah, I
Another big
wasn't
Star Wars watcher.
afraid of it. I was just mad it was in my house.
Yeah.
It was, like I said, it was broad daylight. There was no trick of the eye going on. And I'm like, what are you doing in my house? I mean, I have Fort Knox up on my house now. But yeah, because my kids would often have things that woke them up or scared them.
Mhm.
And there have been some really bad things. That wasn't, I wouldn't say it was a really bad thing, but maybe it was you need to get more security on your house, lady, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've all had a lot of those experiences. I was reading David's there that he was confronted by one tall, black hat and trench coat and reddish scraggly hair. Sounds very familiar, minus the hair. So he probably got really close, but he kind of sounds like the shadow man, the one in the hat, the cowboy, or the man in the hat.
Yeah, we had a shadow that lived in our house when I had the house on Charlotte, and I know Celeste had seen it. Everybody who was ever in that house saw it. And it wasn't until Mark and I were talking about it one night on our Speaking of Spirits podcast that he said, I'm pretty sure he was protecting you because he got really, really active before my ex got very, very violent. I'm like, I never put two and two together. Like, he was always around me. He was always hovering. I could always see him. And a lot of people saw him, and he had a hat, but it changed. I'd see him down at the barn. I'd see him out in the front yard with me. I'd see him everywhere, just kind of darting around. But when he'd start pacing the hallway, when he'd start scaring the animals, that's when, yeah. Now, looking back now, I realized after Mark put two and two together, I went, oh, yeah. So they're not all bad. This one seemed definitely protective.
Yeah, I would say the majority of things are not bad.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily good. They're just kind of neutral. But we are so programmed that anything, anything unusual is the devil. It's, something that's out to get you or scare you. And I don't think the majority of things are. I think what's scary is when you see something and you recognize it is not human, it is not living, that's what scares us when it doesn't mean, and Mark has pointed it out a few times, a lot of times the things we see that seem really, really scary are protecting us.
Yeah.
And like he had said one time with someone who heard this horrible snarling growl, and they thought the demons were after him, or whatever. And he's like, black dog, and they were like, I don't know, I've always been intrigued by like black German shepherds. And he goes, it was probably one of your, like an animal protector that you have. But why was it so scary? And why did it snarl and growl? And what did I do? And it's like, was it snarling and growling at you or for you? Because what would protect your house? A cute white fluffy bunny or a big giant black German Shepherd or
Right.
Rottweiler or dragon. Those are the things that are going to scare away the bad stuff, not, the cute little fluffy kitten kind of thing.
Right.
But at that moment, when you aren't expecting it and you hear, you can almost see the snarling teeth of whatever's making that noise. It's hard to remember it may not be after me. It may be trying to keep me safe.
Yeah.
Right.
It's really interesting because like I usually go with my intuition on it. Like if it gives me a peaceful feeling or neutral feeling or a not so good feeling, that's usually what I go with. But I've also had the unlucky experience, especially being a child and not knowing so much how to protect myself of being attacked, being choked, being attempted to crush, and having objects thrown at me a lot, try to hit me in the head with them. So I can definitely tell when they're aggressive and they're not. So I mean, like that one in the that last session we did in one of the university buildings, and I cornered that one, and he told me to F off. So I don't think he was that nice. He smelled like decay too. So
That building, that was the guy down in the basement.
yep,
Yeah.
that's when I went
By the
down there
bathroom.
like a rotten animal, and then he was pissed
It'll
off.
be interesting because Friday we have our investigation for the class in the next building if he moves over. Yeah, I'm curious to see if he'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a good guy, so
Mhm.
I didn't smell the decay though, but
I did
Yeah.
when I first walked in there, and then I took the girl that was a custodian down in there, and she
Uh-huh.
opened the closet because she could smell it too, and she couldn't find it. And then Katie could smell it, and two of the students could smell it, but we couldn't find it. And then it dissipated. But when we were talking, with the little scanner that you hate,
oh
yeah,
the spirit
yeah,
box.
yeah, the spirit
Mhm.
box. And when we were talking, and I was like, hey, because you're scaring everybody down here,
Mhm.
what's going on? Are you afraid of these guys? Do you not like these guys? I mean, or do you want me to come back in there? And he was like, F you. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
what?
he doesn't like women. That guy. No, he doesn't like women at all. So, for those of you who don't know, we do teach a class at ISU Pocatello on paranormal investigations and kind of how to tap into your abilities and it gives you a kind of a overview of the paranormal and how to do an investigations. By no means is it's super in depth, but the last class is an investigation. So we all join up, all the students and the team, and we start working one of the buildings on campus, and it's a lot of fun. But you never know who you're going to have on the investigation.
Mhm.
We had the old hospital that was just a block away. That was back, and then we have the cemetery. And I guess one of the buildings was the army barracks at one time. So you have all this activity. Yeah. Pretty interesting.
And there's not like a one size fits all rule. There are spirits or entities that are kind of confined to a specific area. It doesn't mean the building. It could just mean that area. Sometimes it's the building. And then there's those who roam, like our Stanrod, wasn't
Yeah.
it Stanrod lady or gal moved around to different areas.
Different buildings we've done,
So there's I have had situations where someone had visited me here before I did a reading. And then when I was out on some type of an investigation or something, it was there. And it really wasn't about anything even in Idaho. I believe the person had passed in Florida. So I don't know if because he connected really strongly with me trying to get through to his sister, he and his father mysteriously died. And he was a practical joker. His sister and I were very close in age. That's who I was reading for. And I was pulling a sweater off of my head. And as I get it above my face, I get this bah in my face, like, funny people love to do to us. but it wasn't to people. And I was like, what the heck? I mean, I literally thought it was my husband at first. It was that real, and it wasn't him. And then the next night I turned around and there's this giant fish in my face. And I had been telling them I did like group readings. And the one lady goes, a fish? And I said, yeah, like he was super proud of this fish. He had a big old fish in my face and I could smell it. And she goes, I think it's my brother. And I said, was he a jokester? Would he be the one who would jump out and scare you like that? And she's like, oh, just every chance he got. And I'm like, he's been at my house twice now, literally in my bedroom. And I said, the fish thing was just like, look at my fish. And she goes, they were professional fishermen that would take people out on charter boats.
Oh, nice.
And their boat came in one day without them on it.
Oh.
And so connecting with her, with her father and that brother, and she'd had her youngest child at that point, and she named him, which he told us about, that she'd named him after her brother's name, and then dad's name. And yeah, it's interesting. But no, he came right here to Idaho, right here to harass me.
Yeah, there's no boundaries, right? There's no boundaries.
Yeah, for some. Some are kind of stuck wherever they are.
That's true. Yeah.
So, but there's no general rule.
No. Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. This hour flew by, actually, for me. It flew by. We're on tomorrow night with our other live show for all things weird and paranormal. And you never know what's going to happen on that show. It's a little chaotic, and I love it. So join us tomorrow night at 7:00. We'll live stream it again. And otherwise, thank you for joining us. And make sure next week that you guys bring your questions for the readings. But we had a good time tonight. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you later.